said a Borg, Borg, Borg. Borg is a word. I said a Borg, Borg, Borg. Borg is a word. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to thank Nicholas Oakley for his donation. The Emperor thanks you for your service. A link to our PayPal is in the description of this video. Donate today. Your support is greatly appreciated. But now, let's review Star Trek First Contact. Directed by Jonathan Frakes, who also stars as Commander William T. Riker in both the television series and film. Released in 1996, First Contact was produced during the 5th season of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and the 3rd season of Star Trek Voyager, meaning it was a great time to be a Trekkie. Our film begins with Captain Picard having flashbacks from when he was assimilated by the Borg. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Borg are a group of cybernetically enhanced life forms on a quest to bring order to chaos. And as a cyborg who wants to bring order to the galaxy myself, I can respect that. They launch a full-scale assault on Earth and prove it's hip to be a square, trucking around the galaxy in what I can only describe as a Roblox. I'm sorry, that was terrible. I tried not to say it, but resistance is futile. The Borg's plan is to pull a Skynet and conquer Earth in the past, so they launch a smaller attack vessel during the battle. But there's something familiar about this design. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Look, I know ILM did the spaceships for this movie, but come on. This is ridiculous. Interestingly, the Borg sphere isn't the only design connection to Star Wars. The eyepiece to one of the Borg drones is the window of a Kenner TIE Fighter toy. One of the animators even snuck the Millennium Falcon into the space battle. Back to the movie. Our mechanical meanies managed to generate the 1.21 gigawatts necessary to get their sphere up to 88 miles an hour, and our gang of plucky heroes ride their temporal wake back in time to try to stop the world from turning into Robotropolis from Sonic the Hedgehog. Turns out the Borg are trying to stop the first warp flight by Dr. Zephram Cochrane, played by James Cromwell, who I will always remember as Farmer Hoggett from Babe. While most of the bridge crew is helping Dr. Hoggett rebuild his spaceship due to the Borg attack, Captain Picard tries to retake his ship, where we meet the Borg Queen, played by Alice Krieg, who, as it turns out, used to have the hots for Captain Picard. Her design was loosely based on the Bride of Frankenstein. And honestly, I don't know what's creepier, the fact that she's supposed to be hot, or that some people probably think she is. The Borg Queen's costume was so tight, it gave Krieg blisters, and the silver contacts were so painful, she could only keep them in her eyes for 4 minutes at a time. But you would never know she was in that kind of pain, proving what a great actress she truly is. After Picard gets a little emotional closure from their toxic relationship by killing the Borg Queen and taking his ship back, Riker and the gang help Dr. Hoggett make his warp flight where he meets the Vulcans, and the future is saved. Fun fact, the Vulcan that makes first contact is Solkar, the father of Sarek, the father of Spock. And if trivia like that doesn't make you hip with the ladies, I don't know what will. Admittedly, if you haven't been a fan of the series, the emotional impact of the film and Picard's history with the Borg won't mean a hill of beans to you. And while the Borg are great villains, they are one of many representations of our collective fear that we will someday lose our humanity as technology advances. Now put on your thinking caps, kiddies, and let Papa Vader break it down for you. In 1989, the Borg made their first appearance in Q-Who, and for those of you who didn't grow up watching Star Trek The Next Generation as I did, the Borg are a malevolent race of cyborgs that assimilate people into their collective consciousness, kinda like bionic space zombies. Sounds like a great villain, right? The only problem is, they bear a striking resemblance to Lord Dredd, a cyborg mad scientist from the short-lived Canadian-American television series Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, which aired from 1987 to 1988. After losing the war with the machines, Captain Power and his team fight the Biodread Empire to save the world from being enslaved by Lord Dread. Star Trek aren't the only copycats, however. Captain Power has some extreme similarities to the 1986 animated series Centurions. Power Extreme! Focusing on a group of heroes in specialized exoframes who fight a cyborg mad scientist named Doc Terror who seeks to turn the world into his robot slaves. Produced by Ruby Spears and animated in Japan by Sunrise's Studio 7. Comic legends Jack Kirby and Gil Kane contributed to the design and concepts for the series. The combat suits for the heroes and the overall theme of the shows are so similar. Captain Powers is essentially the live-action ripoff of Centurions, with a little Terminator thrown in for good measure. Now, First Contact also borrows heavily from the central plot of Terminator, featuring evil cyborgs going back in time to conquer Earth in the past before we can pose a threat to them. But Terminator, which hit theaters in 1984, was also guilty of ripping off 2 episodes of The Outer Limits, Soldier and The Demon with the Glass Hand, written by renowned science fiction author Harlan Ellison, who coincidentally wrote City on the Edge of Forever, held by many fans to be the best episode of the original Star Trek series. And of course, I have to mention the OG cyborg villains of pop culture here, the Cybermen from Doctor Who, which made their first appearance all the way back in 1966, converting humans and other similar species into emotionless drones. So you see, it is all connected, proving there is no originality left in Hollywood. Now, does all this diminish my enjoyment of the Borg? Of course not. In fact, they are one of my personal favorite Star Trek villains, and thanks to the film budget for Borg costumes and sets, First Contact paved the way for every great Borg episode of Star Trek Voyager. So in the end, while darker than most Star Trek films, First Contact tells an emotionally gripping story that deals with themes of loss, revenge, recovery from post-traumatic stress, and ultimately redemption, and the triumph of the human spirit to better ourselves and work towards a brighter future. The film also delves deeply into the character of Jean-Luc Picard. Patrick Stewart's performance is endlessly compelling, depicting a severely broken man who struggles to pick up the pieces of his life and overcome the brutal assault he suffered at the hands of the Borg. Of all the Star Trek films I've encountered on my travels, this was the most human. The film also delivers on spectacle, from an epic space battle between the Borg and the Federation, to Captain Picard going Rambo on some Borg drones on the holodeck with a Tommy gun. This film is Moby Dick, Die Hard, and Night of the Living Dead all rolled into one. And it does what only Star Trek can do at its best: combine literary and science fiction sensibilities with popcorn excitement to deliver what many fans consider to be the best film, featuring the Next Generation cast. So for its iconic characters, stellar performances by Sir Patrick Stewart and Alfred Woodard and the entire cast, impressive visual effects by ILM, memorable action set pieces, and sweeping film score by composer Jerry Goldsmith, I give this film 5 out of 5 Death Stars. First Contact is impressive. Most impressive. This has been Vader Reviews. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, and follow me on Twitter @Vader Reviews. Join the Empire today. You do not yet realize your importance. Share these videos, and together we will rule the internet. And always remember, you don't know the power of the dark side.